Hello, and welcome to another episode where we dive deep into the stories that shape our world. I'm Bright Learn, and today we're embarking on a journey through time, exploring a topic that has been at the heart of global politics for over a century: Zionism. To explore this topic, we will be taking a closer look at Ilan Pappé's groundbreaking book, Lobbying for Zionism, on Both Sides of the Atlantic. This is a story that begins in the mid-19th century and continues to influence international relations today. So, grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and let's unravel this fascinating tale. Our story begins in London in 1866. The British and Foreign Bible Society is laying the foundation for a grand new building. Among the guests is Anthony Ashley Cooper, the 7th Earl of Shaftesbury, a man who would become one of the first lobbyists for Zionism in Britain. Lord Ashley was driven by a religious mission. He believed that the establishment of a Jewish state in Palestine was essential for the fulfillment of biblical prophecy. Lord Ashley would be one of the first well-known advocates of what we know today as Christian Zionism, or the belief that the return of the Jews to Palestine was a necessary precursor to the second coming of Christ. This wasn't just a religious belief. It was a political project. Christian Zionists saw the establishment of a Jewish state in Palestine as a fulfillment of God's will. But here's the catch. In their minds, Palestine wasn't a land with an indigenous population. It was an empty canvas, a terra nullius, waiting to be reclaimed by the Jewish people. This concept of a land without people for a people without land was a powerful narrative that would shape the Zionist movement for decades to come. Lord Ashley lobbied the British Parliament. He used scripture to argue that the time for the restoration of Israel was nigh. But he also understood the political landscape, arguing that Britain should prepare for the inevitable decline of the Ottoman Empire and the strategic importance of Palestine. Lord Ashley's efforts were complemented by British consul to Ottoman Damascus, Colonel Charles Henry Churchill, who proposed a political plan for creating a Jewish state in Palestine. He even lobbied Sir Moses Montefiore, a prominent Jewish philanthropist, to invest in the so-called regeneration of Syria and Palestine. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, a similar movement was gaining momentum. American evangelicals, inspired by the teachings of John Nelson Darby, a founder of the Plymouth Brethren, were also advocating for the return of the Jews to Palestine. Darby's theology, known as dispensationalism, taught that the Jews were God's chosen people and that their return to Palestine was a necessary step in the divine plan. In 1891, a businessman named William Eugene Blackstone took this idea a step further. He convened a conference in Chicago and later circulated a petition known as the Blackstone Memorial, urging the U.S. government to support the establishment of a Jewish state in Palestine. As the 19th century drew to a close, the Zionist movement began to take shape. In 1897, Theodor Herzl convened the First Zionist Congress in Basel, Switzerland. Herzl is often credited as the father of modern Zionism. Herzl and other Christian and Jewish Zionists alike would spend decades lobbying European governments for their support. But it wasn't until 1917, 13 years after Herzl's death, that the Zionists would achieve their biggest victory in the form of the Balfour Declaration. This is a letter from the British Foreign Secretary, Arthur Balfour, to Lord Rothschild, a prominent Jewish banker. The declaration stated that the British government viewed, quote, with favor, the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people. This was a monumental achievement for the Zionist lobby, but it didn't come without controversy. The declaration was met with resistance from within the British government, particularly from Edwin Montagu, a Jewish member of the British cabinet, who warned that it would fuel anti-Semitism and displace the indigenous Muslim and Christian population of Palestine. The Anglo-Jewish community was deeply divided over Zionism. While some, like Herbert Samuel, the first British High Commissioner of Palestine, were ardent supporters, others, like Montagu, were vehemently opposed. The community's internal conflicts were exacerbated by the lobbying efforts of organizations like the English Zionist Federation and Poale Zion, which worked tirelessly to sway public opinion and political elites. The horrors of the Holocaust brought a new urgency to the Zionist cause. In the aftermath of World War II, the Zionist lobby in Britain and the United States intensified their efforts, framing the establishment of a Jewish state as the only solution to the Jewish refugee crisis. This period saw the rise of influential figures like Chaim Weizmann and David Ben-Gurion, who skillfully navigated the political landscape to secure international support for the establishment of what we know today as the State of Israel. In the United States, the Zionist lobby faced its own set of challenges. The American Jewish community was initially resistant to the idea of a Jewish state, preferring to assimilate into American society. However, the lobbying efforts of organizations like the American Zionist Emergency Committee and later, the now infamous American Israel Public Affairs Committee, gradually shifted public opinion. AIPAC, in particular, emerged as a powerful force in American politics. Its influence was felt in the corridors of Congress, where it lobbied for pro-Israel legislation and pressured politicians to support the Zionist cause. The latter half of the 20th century saw a resurgence of Christian Zionism. Televangelists like Jerry Falwell and Pat Robertson became vocal supporters of Israel, framing the Jewish state as a bulwark against communism and a key player in the apocalyptic end times scenario. This Christian Zionist revival was instrumental in solidifying bipartisan support for Israel in the United States, as Christian Zionists became a key constituency for pro-Israel politicians. Today, the Zionist lobby has evolved to become a very sophisticated bloc, with organizations like AIPAC, the Zionist Federation of Great Britain, and the International Christian Embassy Jerusalem playing pivotal roles in shaping policy. However, the landscape is changing. The rise of social media and alternative media has made it more difficult for the lobby to control the narrative. Public opinion is shifting, particularly among younger generations who are more critical of Israel's inhumane policies towards the Palestinians. As we conclude this episode, it's important to reflect on the broader implications of this history. The lobbying for Zionism has been a powerful force in shaping the modern Middle East, but it has also been a source of conflict and controversy. The struggle for legitimacy and the quest for justice continues to this day, and the future of Israel and Palestine remains uncertain. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the hidden history of the Zionist lobby. We hope this episode has provided you with a deeper understanding of the forces at play in one of the world's most complex and enduring conflicts. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. Until next time, I'm Bright Learn, telling you to stay curious and informed.
This has been a Bright Learn video from brightlearn.ai on the book Lobbying for Zionism on Both Sides of the Atlantic by Ilan Pappé. Visit brightlearn.ai for more fascinating videos like this one and naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage and breaking news on critical stories that keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.